I am back, and I'm back with some fresh, new, and fun content. The cool thing is, like, I'm doing a simulation theory, like a conspiracy I think it falls under conspiracy theory. I don't know. So I'm doing it about the simulation theory, and I'm super excited because I always like watched them, like Shane Dawson and other big accounts that I don't know the people's names because, you know. Welcome to my channel. I am doing the simulation theory, and so like a little bit of background about, like, you know, it's kind of like the Matrix if you've never heard of the simulation theory. Can't relate. I've never seen the Matrix, so I can't speak to that, but that's what everybody's telling me. Elon Musk, the inventor of Tesla, talked about how he talked all about how English is my first language. He talked all about, like, how there is a 1 in a billion chance that we're not in a simulation. And I thought he was gonna say we are in a simulation, but, like, I guess so. Like, if that's what Elon Musk says, then shit. Basically, the best way I can describe it to you is kind of like a mix of what I've heard from, like, other conspiracy videos and, like, my crazy ass mind itself. I kind of feel like it's somebody who, you know, virtual reality, like, you take those goggles, put them on, and then you take them off. The fuck? You put them on, and, like, you are playing as yourself in another, you know, world. And so the way that I kind of think of it is, to better explain it, if you're still with me, like, we're 3 minutes in and it looks like I can't speak, but that's because I'm, like, so excited. I'm like, just to, like, should have said this in the beginning, but some of this is everything I've heard in conspiracy theory videos, and then, like, another part that's kind of worked into here is, like, going off on my own tangent of ideas that I hear when I watch these videos, and I'm like, oh shit, that's why this happens, oh that's why that happens. And then at the end, like, I'm gonna talk about, like, a little theory that I thought of just from, like, being a human services major, a good person, and a theorist. So as a simulation begins in the future, I'm gonna assume it's the future, or maybe it's a whole different universe that we don't know about, whatever, but I'm just gonna call it the future because that's what the simulation gave us, time. So they put on goggles, they take them off, and then they move on to the next person. So it's like they're living as you in your lifetime. And then I won't go too deep into that because I think that's kind of where deja vu comes from, but we'll get into that a little bit later. And it's kind of like The Sims, as if somebody, also, like, another way with the goggles, like, if somebody's sitting in front of a computer and just like living that life, like in Sims. I haven't played it in a while, but, like, the weird thing is that when I did play it, I always wanted to just make me, like, I would name the characters, like, Natalie, like, when I made one, and then, like, when a new one would come in, I would name it my friend, or, like, whoever I was married to, I would make them my crush, and all that, and, like, they would live out these lives. So I always wanted to make it me and parallel to what I'm doing, so that could kind of be like what somebody is doing behind those goggles or behind that computer. Elon Musk always, also mentioned that 40 years ago we had Pong. We had Pong, where just two little bars going up and down and a ball going back and forth, and it's you playing the computer. There's also a whole nother thing, like with computers getting smarter and AIs, and I kind of talk about AIs in here, but not like that, just to let you know. So it says, if we keep it says, my notes, I love how like I can't have a full thought, like it's a thought and then like another thing and then another thing and then another thing. It's great. Eventually we'll simulate ourselves. If we keep advancing, eventually we'll start to simulate ourselves as kind of like Sims, like I was talking about how I made myself, but we'll be able to do it in the future in a very I have to change this. Okay. I thought I like wiped away my highlight, but well, it's either highlight or sweat, so it's there anyway, right? And then my girlfriend mentioned, right, in a video, so these are like my thoughts, right, on the side. My girlfriend mentioned, as I was making this video and taking notes, she mentioned like a video. I just about lost my shit, because when you think about it, like a video is out there, like on your phone in the world, and you can press play anytime you want, and there you are, just doing what you did in the past, in the future, kind of, if you bear with me, like with this thought for a second. And in that video comes the factors of like this world, because you know, like a pen, if you're writing with it, a pen's gonna write in that little world that you have in there. And it just kind of triggered like that thought in me. I'm like, wow, because right now not a lot of people know this about AIs, but they're very aware. Like they say the difference between us and robots is they don't have a consciousness, but guess what? They have that now. Again, Pong, robots who look like humans and have consciousness and more rights than women in Dubai, but that's a whole nother fucking... They look at videos, right? And they can't, and if you show them a video of a dog running around doing whatever, you know, dogs do, like the first thing that comes to my mind, shitting. So like doing what dogs do, shitting, and then you show them like a dog in real life, they can't tell the difference. Like they know it's on a screen, but that looks real to them. So it's like, who are we to say what's real? ASMR. Hi, welcome back, you guys. Okay, so that whole thing. And I should have looked this up. You know what? I'll look this up right now. I think this is Nick Bostrom because I fucking do. So kind of moving on, but not forgetting about Elon Musk's idea of simulation and Sims and Matrix and all that stuff. Bostrom says that there are today, Junior, just go with me on this. The Earth sends self-replicating robots to other planets, which would imply that our Earth is a huge computer of some sort that sends self-replicating robots. Is a self-replicating robot. The world, not the universe, just the world is a self-replicating. If I could say that again and get $50 each time, build these other planets in a simulation in like a computer way, you know. And it made me think, right? Because I'm thinking of the world, I'm thinking of us living in it, and being people. How about like if future generations, right, want to come and look at us, like time travel kind of, but if we're sticking with the simulation theory, like they're just going through like their data, like a big data thing that they have of information of everything that's happened already, and they go and say, I want to go here, and they come back, and because they figured out like the equation or whatever the fuck to come through that our simulation and tweak the rules and tweak the makeup of our simulation as a whole. I'm trying to think of like a better way to, like the code, like, you know, when you see a black computer screen with green codes like all written out, they mean nothing to us but a lot to people who know technology and write those codes themselves. That type of thing, like they know how to mess with those codes and go back and see things for how they are, or like if they're so far in the future, like I'm talking like year 9,000, and they want to come back and just see things. And then another thing that I was thinking, like if the people who are sitting at those computers, kind of going back to Elon Musk, when we were simulation is fucking with me right now. Moving on. So Elon Musk was talking about how there's a huge never-ending ceiling to how much can be created on this, what we perceive as time, on this timeline of, you know, existence. And he said we better hope that that's what it is, because if not, then society, humanity will cease to exist. Either we will be creating a reality that is indistinguishable from our own, going back to uploading like every aspect of ourselves onto a computer or AI or something like that, and living as a conscious person in there, because we'd be copying every part of our brain. So it would be literally us. That'd be weird. Or our human civilization will cease to exist. Like altogether. And that's insane. He didn't really say why like society would cease to exist, but I trust him. So I was conspiracizing and thinking about everything that I just talked about and made confusing with my side conversations with myself. Here's my thing. People that feel lost in life, it's because that person that's behind the goggles took those goggles off, and that's why people feel lost, because their sense of a conscience to tell them what's right and what's wrong isn't there, right? Because people could have perfect looking families, there could be a lot going on, but they deal with it, and they have that conscience to keep them saying like, I won't do this to my kids, I won't do that. But then there's that thing where like people just throw their whole lives away because they don't feel there's anything more. And we classify it in our simulation as depression and anxiety, which it very much is, because there's nothing there that's producing that serotonin. But what if that serotonin comes from a code that people, that like, that's an option, like as in the Sims game, like to water your plants, like hit serotonin, right? People end up in jail eventually. Because in jail, it's run by something, right? Like that's a whole nother conspiracy theory, I guess, within this. I think I thought of a new conspiracy theory. But anyway, by the Illuminati. Hello, everybody. I'm editing right now, and I would just like to let you guys know that I am not trying to minimize or take away from any of the experiences that people have gone through with addiction or legal matters. I believe they are serious and not to be taken as a joke. And me using it in my conspiracy theories is exactly that. It's just a conspiracy theory about the top layer of what it is. It does not minimize hardships and success stories and amazing things that people achieve, or minimize the horrible things that people go through. Okay? Thanks. People go to jail, they get addicted to drugs, and it's because those people turn those goggles off and then they leave them. And then what if, when people are doing things that don't help themselves, what if on those goggles or somewhere, right, in that house that they live in, or whatever they call it in that simulation, you know, I can only go off of what they gave us, might have like rules in place where if there's a blinking light, right, like a red blinking light or something that goes off because you started taking drugs a lot, right, and you started jail and all those things. There are those success stories where people go through this and they don't, like, they come out amazing. I just heard my bird throw all of his food out of his food bowl. So they have that blinking light, right? And what if where they are, it's like a rule, like it's considered immoral to let that light blink, or ethical because it's more of like a social, because moral is more internal, but like ethically, it's wrong to let that light blink when there's a warning about your person or your sin, because they're aware of the consciousness that they give us. But sometimes they get bored and they put on another and they just forget. Become so like in the other one, because maybe the other one's being really successful and popular on YouTube and yeah, my guy is gonna be like, she's kind of boring. And they have to put on that light because they feel put on those goggles because they feel obligated. And from that comes all of the good things. He hits that serotonin button. He hits that spirituality button. He hits all of those buttons that gives you all of the basis that you need to be a person, a functioning person in society, a want-to-what family, and dream about big houses and all those things and becoming successful. And that was my own little conspiracy theory. Thanks for watching. I think I'm gonna do more videos like this because they're just very interesting to me, and my goal, right, is to not have so many notes. It's just like to memorize the word memorize, and then tackle memorizing the theories that I do and relaying it to you in a better, more put together way. Dare I say, like, subscribe, hit the bell, and have a nice day. I'm gonna go.